This is the Ramana Maharshi Satsang. I'm reading from and commenting on the Ashtavakra Gita. Listen, reflect, and deeply meditate. Know yourself. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke. I'm not a guru or a teacher. Ramana Maharshi's teaching of non-duality is deep and profound, and I want to share it. I'm reading from and commenting on the Ashtavakra Gita, an important Nidhyasana text of Advaita Vedanta. And as a Nidhyasana text, it focuses on deep contemplation and meditation to bring what is heard and reflected upon into your direct experience. Today, I'm starting on chapter 19, verses 1 through 4. And in this chapter, Ashtavakra is talking about repose in the self. With the tongs of truth, I have plucked the thorn of thinking from the innermost cave of my heart. Where is meditation, pleasure, prosperity, or discrimination? Where is duality? Where even is unity? I abide in the glory of self. Where is past and future, or even present? Where is space, or even eternity? I abide in the glory of self. Where is self? Where is non-self? Where is good and evil, confusion and clarity? I abide in the glory of self. So let's look at these verses more closely. 19:1. With the tongs of truth I have plucked the thorn of thinking from the innermost cave of my heart. Ashtavakra uses the image of removing a thorn to describe the complete ending of compulsive thought. The tongs of truth refer to the direct recognition of your nature as the self, which cuts away from the root of mental restlessness. The innermost cave of the heart is not the physical place, but the center of pure awareness. When the mind's constant commentary is seen for what it is, it falls silent. The self shines without obstruction, free from the agitation of thought and the false identification that thought brings. In your spiritual practice, this verse is a clear reminder that peace does not come by fixing every thought, but by stepping into the recognition of what you truly are before thought. You may have tried to still the mind through effort, only to find that thoughts keep returning. The tongues of truth are not mental control. They are the recognition that awareness is untouched by thinking. When you know this directly, the restlessness born of constant mental activity loses its hold. Living from this self-knowledge, you find a natural quietness in daily life, even when thoughts pass through. The self, not thought, becomes the place where you live. 19.2. Where is meditation, pleasure, prosperity, or discrimination? Where is duality? Where even is unity? I abide in the glory of self. Here, Ashtavakra speaks from a place beyond all practices, goals, and philosophical positions. Meditation, pleasures, material success, discrimination between real and unreal, duality, and even unity all belong to the mind's domain. In the self, they have no relevance. The self is complete in itself and untouched by any division or merging. This verse expresses the freedom of one who no longer measures experience by spiritual progress, worldly achievement, or conceptual framework. Abiding in the self is beyond all comparisons or states of mind. In your practice, you may be devoted to meditation, ethical living, spiritual inquiry, and the pursuit of wisdom. These are valuable in the earlier stages, but this verse invites you to see that your true nature does not depend on them. Even the highest states that you can imagine, profound meditation, bliss, or a sense of unity, are still experiences that come and go. The self is prior to them and remains untouched even when they fade. This recognition frees you from both the pride of achievement and the fear of losing what you have gained. It allows you to reside in a presence that does not need to be maintained. 19.3. Where is past or future or even present? Where is space or even eternity? I abide in the glory of self. Ashtavakra erases the framework of time and space. Past, future, and present are mental constructions, as are space and eternity. The self is not bound by them. When you abide in the self, you're not located in time or space. both appear within you. Time flows only for the mind, which measures change. The self, being changeless, is not touched by it. Similarly, space appears as an object of perception, but the self is beyond all dimensions. This verse describes the infinite, unconditioned nature of your true being. You probably live much of your life ruled by clocks, calendars, and schedules, but none of these touch what you truly are. The self has never moved from the present because it's not in time at all. When you rest in this timeless awareness, you stop feeling chased by the past or pressured by the future. Space also loses its power to define you. Whether the body is here or there, the self is not a location. It is the open field in which all locations appear. Living from this recognition dissolves anxiety, rush, and the sense of distance between yourself and anything else. 19.4. Where is self? Where is not self? Where is good and evil, confusion and clarity? I abide in the glory of self. Ashtavakra dissolves all dualities, even the apparent division between self and non-self. From the perception and perspective of the self, there is no separation, no moral opposites, and no middle conditions to fix or preserve. The pairs of opposites exist only for the mind that perceives difference. Abiding as the self means resting in the awareness that is prior to such distinctions. This is not moral indifference, but the recognition that the self is untouched by the passing movements of thought, emotion, and perception. In your own experience, you may judge events, people, and yourself as good and bad, clear or confused, pure or impure. This verse calls you to see that all such judgments arise in the mind and are not part of your true nature. The self remains the same, whether the mind is calm or agitated, whether the body is healthy or ill, whether others approve or criticize. When you stop giving absolute reality to these opposites, compassion and balance naturally appear, not because you force them, but because the self is naturally whole and unshaken. This freedom lets you respond to life without being bound by mental conditioning. These verses point you beyond all mental constructs, time, space, duality, unity, good, evil, and even the idea of self versus non-self. They invite you to abide in the unchanging awareness that is your true nature, where thought has no grip and peace is complete. And now a Satsang discourse by Nome, Infinite Consciousness.
One infinite consciousness exists. One infinite consciousness is God, the universal witness, and the Atman, the Self. One infinite consciousness is the universe, the individual living being, and the Supreme. One infinite consciousness is the waking, the dreaming, and the deep dreamless sleep state. One infinite consciousness is the past, the present, and the future. One infinite consciousness without any difference is all the illusory differences. Differences of different kinds, differences of the same kind, and internal differences. One infinite consciousness is you, I, and all else. The illusion, the mere false supposition of limitation, is due solely to superimposed imagination. The superimposition of limits or attributes upon yourself. If the misidentifications, that is, the superimposed attributes, are negated through profound inquiry, all that is found to exist is the one infinite consciousness. There is in truth nothing else to you but that. There is in truth nothing else anywhere but that. This one infinite consciousness is Brahman, is Shiva, is what truly is. Realize the truth being indicated, and you will joyfully find yourself to be the absolute perfect fullness. There is in reality no limitation, no bondage. No separate individuality. Nothing else whatever but the one infinite consciousness. Whatever else you may suppose, whatever else you may think of, whatever else you may seem to perceive, all of it is completely the one infinite consciousness.
And now we'll take some time and inquire, you exist. You exist, and you know that you exist. And inquire, investigate within yourself. What is aware of my thoughts right now? Who is the one that seeks spiritual progress? Can I find a location for the awareness in which time and space appears? without labeling experience, what is here right now? What do I consider myself to be? And who am I really? What am I? What exists? All right. And let's close with our chant. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. All right. What did you get from today's session? The verses or Nome or your meditation?
At the beginning, you said something, it went thought and the false identifications that come with it. Me, the identifications that come with thought, multifarious identifications, the distinctions. You also use the word distinctions. The self is untouched by passing thoughts or perceptions, the distinctions which come with those thoughts. And then you said the superimposition of imagination, the superimposition of imagination, superimposition. That's Maya, that's the mind. Yeah.
Right, right. And that's the whole thing that we're trying to first notice and then break through in practice.
Right. Look at that being behind it all. Yeah.
Hmm.
Underneath it
But
all.
again, you can't deal with it until you start to notice that it's there and see how pervasive it is.
Beautifully said, yes. How pervasive. It's infinitely pervasive. It is it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
There's no
pain in the ass.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I love the idea. I pluck the thorn of thinking.
Mm.
Oh, yes, I love that language.
It's a poetic way of saying it, isn't it?
Yeah. The tongs of truth.
The tongues of truth.
The tongues of truth.
Or the tweezers of truth, maybe. I don't
Taking out the eyebrows of thought.
know.
Yeah. My son, our older son, has had a mono an adolescent, and we saw him one day plucking at it. I said, okay, fine. Yeah, plucking out those thoughts. It's sinking for me. It's just in the most recently, it's been a feeling of subsidence. And as a Christian, you hear the words, the ground of being, sinking into the ground of being. The mystics, Christian mystics use that term. And I can relate to that.
Yeah, the ground of being is definitely a phrase that we're comfortable with.
Yeah. That's where your questions, Richard, they pull you but down beyond the distinctions to just the pure awareness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like a Buddhist version of the inquiry saying, what was your face before you were born?
Yeah, I think the answer is there was no face.
And still isn't, supposedly.
Yeah. Any face is an illusion of delusion.
Right.
Namarupa.
And if it's anything you can identify with your mind, then it is illusion. Thank you again for joining me this week. Namaste, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.